We were not live. We were live with a muted microphone. For about 20 seconds. Okay, let's start that again. Good evening. We are now live, and hopefully, if this is working correctly, you can hear me because my microphone is not on mute. You can hear me on LinkedIn. You can hear me on Facebook. You can even hear me on not on Facebook, on YouTube, that other channel, right? So if you are watching on any one of these platforms, good evening and welcome to this episode 2 of Visible Women on LinkedIn. We are in season 3 of Visible Women on LinkedIn, and today is episode 2. And today, like every Thursday, I am excited to be bringing you this show. I'm excited to be having this conversation that I'm going to have today and that you're going to be involved in today. So let's see who is joining us live for this edition of Visible Women on LinkedIn. So we have got Liz is in the house. Hi, Liz. Good evening. Good to have you in the house. We've got Danwas in Ghana. We've got Victoria from Tempe, AZ. Okay, my geography is really rubbish. You have to tell me where that is. I didn't do well in geography at school. I'm so sorry. But I am so glad that you're here, Victoria. But tell me where you're from, please. What part of the world is that? You know, Gula. Hey, Gula. Good to see you. Good to see you, Chris. Good to see you, Alison. Good to see you, Sonia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so awesome to have you here. Nikki is in the house. Rosemary's in the house. Lillian's in the house. Oh my God, we have a full house, and it is so exciting because the guest that I have for you is, I can't wait to bring her on. I am so really looking forward to it. But before we get to it, because I know for some of you, if this is your first time watching Visible Women on LinkedIn, you will not know that I have a new background, which Chris has just pointed out. I do have a new background, Chris. I do. I'm trying a different location in the house, right? So, but yes, thank you for that, Chris. You won't know I have a new background, and you also won't know that what this show is about. So just a quick summary. Visible Women on LinkedIn is a show where I have what I call candid conversations, really honest conversations with women who are doing their business, building their brand and building their business using LinkedIn as one of the key platforms to make that happen. So these are not just ordinary women. These are women with extraordinary stories. And I really do believe that each one of us have an extraordinary story to tell. We just don't recognize it often enough. So this platform is to give a voice to those conversations and to hear some of those stories from these extraordinary women. And tonight I do have one such extraordinary woman who I am going to introduce you to in just a second. But if this is your first time watching, my name is Mildred Talabi. I am a LinkedIn visibility coach for women in business. I help women build visible and profitable brands on LinkedIn. So reach out to me, get in touch if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. Now, I want you to react to show that you're watching. So do a like, do an applause, whatever it is, whatever the functions are on LinkedIn, right? It's quite limited, pick whichever reaction you want and just react just to show you're watching, because it's a way for us to keep track and see who is actually tuning in, because I do not know from where I'm sitting who is tuning in, except if you're commenting. And then lastly, if you want to stay up to date with our future shows, go to mildredtalabi.com/visible women, and that will get you registered for free. And you will get the emails, you get the updates, you get the after party summaries, and all of that. And you get my weekly newsletter called Start Being Visible, which will give you tips and resources on how you can use LinkedIn to build your own visible and profitable brand. So mildredtalabi.com/visible woman. But today, we have an exciting guest in the house with us. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Stella. Good to see you here. Good to see all of you ladies and a couple of gents that we have in the house. So my guest today, I am going to bring her on because we're going to need the full hour to really dig into her story. So my guest today, her name is Chantal Soumis. Now, if I am saying her surname wrong, she is going to correct me, and I give her full permission to correct me when she comes on. People get my surname wrong all the time, right? But Chantal Soumis. Now, I noticed Chantal on LinkedIn because she is doing amazing stuff on LinkedIn, and she has one of these warrior stories where she has overcome, and she's currently overcoming a massive chronic illness called MS, multiple sclerosis. I hate that word. I say it wrong all the time, you know. But yeah, she's currently overcoming it. But in the process, she is building a massive awesome business in personal branding and LinkedIn coaching and helping corporates and other people to really identify their brand and grow it on this platform and beyond. She has a marketing agency that does that. So we are going to hear from her today about how she's managing to juggle all of these amazing things that she's doing in her life, hear a bit more about her backstory, and get some inspiration on how we can continue to be visible on this platform called LinkedIn. So if y'all are ready, let me put on my American to get ready for Chantel. If you're ready, I am going to bring her to the stage. Chantel, are you ready to join us?
I'm so ready. How are you?
I am so good, so good. Did I say your surname right, Chantel?
You did. You did such a great job. Thank you.
I'm winning already. That's how we like to start.
I love it. Yeah. Yes.
That is so awesome.
I think it was, I love how you said AZ. It's Arizona, Tempe, Arizona. Beautiful place.
I told you. Oh my God, I am so rubbish at geography. Honestly, it was not my strong point in school. I'm like, north is somewhere there. Yeah. You know, but also Chantel, so good to have you on this show. And I really want to start off with, you know, describe for us in your own words exactly what it is that you do today.
Okay, well, exactly what it is that I do. I do a lot of things, you know, but for Stardust Creative, which is our creative agency, we really focus on branding, and that's the business branding to the personal branding, because it's the people that we buy from, you know, it's not the businesses usually, unless it's a product. So really helping understand the story and the why and the mission and all of that fun stuff that brings so much life to an organization or a service, you know, and those differentiators as well. And the big sweet spot that I have in my heart is that we do completely pro bono work for anybody living with a disability or chronic illness, because we know how hard it is firsthand to succeed when you're limited by financial debt in terms of healthcare costs and so many other obstacles. So that's why we do what we do, and we're committed to it.
Awesome. I love that. And we're going to absolutely get into all of that in just a second. But I read on your profile that on your LinkedIn profile, so when you're young, you had this really creative background with your mom where you were making homemade gifts and all of that. Tell us about your childhood.
Oh, yes. You know, I'm one of those super, super lucky, fortunate, blessed children that was raised in a house of love. And my mom, I have 3 older brothers, so my mom kind of had the daughter time, and my brothers kind of did the dad time. So, which was so fortunate for me, because my mom is the most amazing woman in the world. Her creativity and just curiosity for things is so brilliant. And she, I mean, was always a maker and a doer. I mean, she came from a very humble background too, where if you want clothes, you need to make them yourself. So she kind of taught herself how to sew, and then she taught me how to sew, and we would make our own Halloween costumes together, all the way to jewelry. You know, she designed her own jewelry out of old tools and wires and things like that, which was so cool to see. And it really made me get obsessed with creating, because you can make something from nothing, and it's this beautiful thing that you can give as gifts from the heart, right? They mean more when they're made from scratch. So yeah, that's a little bit about it. And then of course my parents had a accounting firm. So my dad, after he got out of the military, he started an accounting business, and my mom worked for him, and they ended up falling in love, you know, the story. And I had the privilege of working for them and getting a secure position, understanding what an office job is and what payroll is and finances and at a really young age. I think it was like 10 when I started answering phones and scheduling appointments. So yeah, just so many opportunities that I'm so thankful for and having those.
Okay, so you have this mix of creative and entrepreneurial background, from a really early age. So what did little Chantel want to do when she grew up? What was your hopes and dreams?
I was so unmotivated as a child. I think what I really wanted to be was a rockette. Do you know what a rockette is?
I do not. Tell me.
Okay, so they're the dancers in Vegas that do the kick line in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh,
So they're
okay.
the girls who wear like the showgirl outfits and do the kicks, but I'm too short and too heavy to qualify. So there goes that dream. I really wanted to do arts or dance or something, but my mom said it wasn't realistic and that I needed to go to school for business. So that's what happened.
It sounds like you had a Nigerian mom.
Is that it?
That's what we get. That's the kind of anything creative is not, it's not an option. Go to school.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, okay. So did you then go to business school as you grew up, or what was your pathway? Tell us how it evolved in your education and your career.
It was a mess. I mean, I decided I wanted to help people, right? So I originally went to school for nursing and I didn't do well enough in school. My grades were terrible. I'm not good at learning from textbooks. I have a form of learning disability that I didn't even know I had until, a few years ago. And so I was basically kicked out of college and moved back in with my parents because my grades were so bad. And, my mom and dad really directed me into thinking, well, what can you do? What do you want to do? What are you really good at? And when I found out that marketing, like planning events and doing promos and, getting swag and stuff was actually a job that you could get paid to do, I was all in because that's the fun stuff. So I went to school for marketing and I, was on the president's list, which is 4.0. So perfect straight A's the whole year and graduated. And yeah, that's how it kind of evolved into marketing.
Nice. I love it. So it sounds like, so you mentioned you had this learning, this disability that you didn't know. Was that dyslexia?
A form of dyslexia, yes. Like I could read, but I couldn't comprehend. It wouldn't sink in. I couldn't retain what I was reading, the education that I was learning. So the way that I had to learn was really in action, practical application of different things. So acting out pieces of history or, making it as an applicable project versus reading it in a textbook and taking an exam. It didn't work for me like that.
Okay, awesome. So then when you found marketing, did it feel like, this is my fit? Was it that kind of light bulb?
Yes, it felt too easy. It felt way too good to be true. And I'm very lucky and thankful for that because I tried everything. I really feel like I did. And marketing was just way easy. I feel like I took the easy way out in life. I kind of just, what can I do with the least amount of work?
Hey, who said life is supposed to be hard, right? It is not.
I like that.
Want some easy. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so I guess that's what happens when what is that quote by, again, I say his name wrong, Confucius, whatever it is, right? So find the work you love and you won't work another day in your life, that Steve Jobs said it as well, But I guess that's what happens when we find our fit. It just feels like this is too easy, too good to be true almost, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So there you were. So you graduated, you do this marketing, you start working in the world of marketing. What was your career journey from there?
So I got my first formal job as a temp to hire position. They get you in the door for 3 months and test you out to see if they like you and you're good at it. and I ended up retaining that job, and I worked there for 4 years. But the thing, and it was a great opportunity. I learned so much. I basically was in charge of printing documents and shipping them out. I mean, yeah, I wasn't really using my degree or what I learned, but that's what you get when you're entry level. And the environment was pretty toxic because it was a startup and it was growing really fast. And I worked on a team of all women. And a lot of the women were very insecure and around the same age as me. So as we were growing and the environment was changing and people were going up for those raises or those promotions, people started to get real nasty. And so I needed to get the heck out of there. So right after I had my baby boy that we welcomed to the world, I found a new job and I was so ecstatic about it, and gave my 4 weeks notice to this toxic workplace, and everything fell flat with that job. I was jobless. Like, they basically said, sorry, our equity firm ran into an issue with the contract of the location we're opening that you were going to be in, and we're starting from scratch, putting this position on hold. And I'm like, wait, what does that mean? Why can't I work remote? Like, right? This was 6 years ago. So thinking about it, it's like, obviously we can just work remote to keep things humming along. We're doing that right now. But unfortunately, in that situation, they didn't have that kind of perspective. And I was jobless and unemployed, and I had a brand new baby, and my hormones were bananas. And like, all mothers can relate to the insanity that follows having a newborn at home. And my immune system started to shut down because of the imbalance and all of the stress. And my husband was unemployed too, so we were trying to figure out how to keep the lights on and also afford, care for this kiddo and all these things. So that's when things really shook up and I started to get really sick.
Okay, awesome. And I want to talk about that because I know that was a key pivotal moment in your life, and that ended up with what you're doing today. But going back to that workplace, you said it was really toxic, and you said it had loads of women. Now, are the two connected, or is that just a matter of fact that it was a very female environment?
It was just a really bad environment. It was very toxic, and because I have so many amazing female entrepreneurs that lift me up, and we're sisters and we support each other, and it's a family. But this was very competitive, too competitive, where everybody was at each other's throats. And it became very toxic. Yeah. Like, to the point where I was the first person in, starting the coffee, and I was the last person to leave way after the cleaning people had come. And I wasn't getting paid or recognized for any of it. In fact, I was getting given more work to do. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So for your sanity, you got out of there. How old were you about this time?
I was 25.
Okay. So, and you were you newly married and with your son?
Yes. Yep. I was newly married with the little dude at home, and our careers just continued to be all shook up. Like a bottle of soda that you shake and it just goes everywhere. That's kind of how our whole 20s were in a nutshell.
Okay, all right, let's get into some of that shaking. So there you are, you had this job you applied for, and then they pull it out from under your feet. You have your newborn, you have your husband, he doesn't have a job, and then your body's messing up. What was happening with your body? Tell us about that.
So I was applying for jobs every single day, everything. I mean, from anything entry level to anything in my field, I'd give it a go. And nobody ever, I got some interviews for it, but it wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, especially as a new grad and all of that. And I started taking care of my son. We'd go for walks every day. And I noticed one day on the walk that my vision started getting blurry. And my legs started to feel like they were like, do you know what a Charlie horse is? Is that common language over in England?
No, explain again.
it's like a very a bad cramp in your like shin area, your lower legs.
Okay. Okay.
And I thought that's what it was, but it ended up being multiple sclerosis. So it got worse and worse and worse. And as you know, in the United States, if you're not employed, you don't have health insurance. So I was really trying to just pray and, light some sage and burn some essential oils, or, just try to do as much witchcraft as I possibly could to get things back to normal. And it ended up being this just copious amounts of brain damage where my brain lit up like a Christmas tree in the MRI, and including my optic nerves, which I still don't have vision in this eye, and this eye is not normal either. So it took me for a ride there. And then it also caused seizures. So I couldn't hold my baby and feed him confidently. And so many other things. And now I had to apply for jobs with this new disability, which was ultimately like the soda pop bottle just exploding on everything.
Wow. That is, I can't, I can imagine, but it must have been pretty traumatic. So before you actually got the official diagnosis, how long did you experience the problems before they said, okay, this is what it is?
So I think it was a good 4 months of my vision just continuously getting worse and my legs getting worse. And then my brain, like, I just couldn't answer questions like, what's your name? Or what day is it? What month is it? Who's the president? And I was just, my poor husband had no idea what to do. He just could stare at me and, what can I do? I don't know, And so eventually my parents, because what do you need when you're 25? You need your parents to force you in to get care because you can't take care of yourself. Oh, I know, right? The roles of parenting never end.
It doesn't.
So my dad basically took me in, and that's when we got the diagnosis. And the diagnosis wasn't easy either, because when you're diagnosed with an incurable or cancer or a tumor or something along those lines, they give you the diagnosis and send you home. They don't give you a plan right away. They give you a lot to worry about in the meantime, right? So it was a very defeating time in my life, especially as a new mom, because I couldn't care for my son, and I felt like I couldn't be a wife or a daughter, and I was just a big speed bump in everybody's way.
Wow. That honestly, that takes a lot of courage. So 4 months you get the diagnosis, and then how long after that did they actually bring you in and start treatment and all of that kind of stuff?
That's the worst part, is there wasn't any treatment. So they were able to give me steroids to help my walking, but my vision never returned in the one eye. And they basically said, because there is no cure and because there is no one size fits all approach, for how your trajectory of healing is going to go, we just really have to try one thing at a time and see if it works. So it was so much trial and error, and trying this medication and, experiencing a heart attack, or this one and experiencing cancer, and this one and experiencing hair loss and seizures. It was just a nightmare. So, I mean, it's been 5 years, and I'm on my I was on my fourth medication and was taken off of that and can walk, which is amazing. But the vision is an obstacle, because if my heart rate increases and I'm exercising or I'm stressed out, my vision completely is lost in both eyes. And so it's hard to function. I can't drive a vehicle anymore. I can't operate life like I used to. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, because I know I'm a better, improved version of myself, despite the limitations that I now have, like I didn't have before. But I have so much other amazing gifts that came along with it too.
Oh, of course. And we want to explore those gifts. So God, already your stories got me like, I love it. You're a warrior, honestly, So, okay. So how did you then start shifting to, from the negative, and I'm guessing that was a good few months, of this is the diagnosis, trying to get used to it, to when did you start thinking, okay, let me try and go back to work or start a business, or what was going on in your mind in that period in terms of your financial survival and otherwise?
Yeah, there was a lot of darkness. There was a lot of depression and sad and grieving, like there is with anything that you lose. And I was so depressed and I didn't know what to do or who to turn to. So I joined some support groups of other people living with MS. And it's rare to be diagnosed so young. You're usually diagnosed in your 40s or 50s. And it's a different kind of prognosis. So when I went to my MS support community, I said, what do? I can't get a job anywhere. I'm applying for jobs. They said, give up, apply for Social Security or disability, because nobody's going to want you if you can't see or you can't walk or you can't, XYZ. And it was such a kind of a slap in the face. Like, I'm 25 and you're telling me to give up my future or what? This doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm just going to cage myself up like a bird and sit pretty at home for the next 60 years. So that was kind of like fuel to just get started and focus. But then also with that, like as a mom, you want to provide and you want to be something that your children can look up to and be inspired by and be motivated by and set a good example. So that was also a big piece of it. And getting strength back is I needed to raise a great, kind human being, this little boy that was going to turn into a gentleman, hold doors open for people, and smile at everyone he sees. So that was really the anchor too, in finding that strength, because it wasn't easy. There was so much darkness and the light was just coming in tiny little threads of hope. It wasn't like a big, here you go, here are a bunch of resources, you're going to be healed tomorrow, but as well as faith, leaning into even my faith was really an important piece too. Just giving in and kind of surrendering to this disease and my future, and understanding that, there's a plan and we'll figure this out one step at a time. So that's kind of how it went forward. And yeah, it was a lot of diet too. We don't talk about diet often in Western medicine over here. It's usually all medicine, but the diet was really critical for it too. So I think like cutting out sugar was really important, right? That helped me clarify my mind and eliminate some anxiety. Did you? I thought I lost you too. Are we back?
Are we back? Okay, here we go. This is the connection was going. I think you're back. Are you back?
I think so.
Are we still a bit frozen? Guys, let me know in the comments. Are we here or are we frozen? Okay, I can see Chantel. You're here. If we're frozen, let us know, because it froze on me for a minute. But okay, I think it's working now. I think so.
I can hear you.
So go on. Okay, perfect. And I can hear you, so that's great.
Good.
Okay, good. So you were saying, okay, they can see us. Chris says I can see you. All right, great. Good. We're here. Good. That's good. I wanted to. So one of the first things you talked about, glimmers of light coming in. Can you remember like one of the first glimmers of light of hope that came through for you in this dark season? Okay, everybody's here. They can hear us. Hey, Laura. Hi, Abby. Good to see you guys. Sonia. Hi. Okay, yeah. Can you remember any examples of like just the first flashes of light and hope that started coming in for you in those days?
I think it was really, again, so fortunate to have love in my life because it was my family. You know, it was my mom and dad coming over with dinner cooked so that I didn't have to cook. It was, you know, just holding this little boy and just praying to see the color of his eyes again. All these little things that that were just new, that were so devastating to lose, but it really shifted into an attitude of gratitude and being thankful for what I did have, you know, like my smell didn't go away. So I could smell fresh baked cookies and eat way too many of them. And so many other things, just like a hug, you know, how great a hug feels when you can't see anything. It's just so comforting. So the family and that support system was everything. I really don't think you can get through something on your own like that. It really does take a community.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can totally appreciate that. Yeah. You know, so okay, so that is so awesome. Right. So then you're in this period and you're in this support group and they're saying basically don't worry about getting a job, just, you know, just count yourself out type of thing. You know, what made did you immediately then think, all right, I'm not going to get a job, I'm going to start my business? Or was there more to that thought process that led you to where you are today?
No, I've always been one of those people that doesn't listen to people. I mean, I do, but I want to figure it out for myself. You know, I don't want to just believe everything I hear, because that's how people become ignorant and so many other things. So I listened to it and immediately I felt sorrow. I felt so sad for these people who felt unwanted. They felt unseen, unheard, and unwanted in our workforce. And that made me angry instead of, you know, weak. It made me furious that our world is set up like this. And I don't know how it is everywhere else, if it's very similar. But basically in that case, it was, you know, work with your local disability support center. And I was like, I don't want special arrangements. I don't want to be put into this little category and given reasonable accommodation in a job that I don't even like, that isn't even marketing. So that really, it just really made me angry.
Yeah,
does that answer your question?
It does, and it does, and it's like, I think when I shared about the post about interviewing you for the show on Monday, I said that I shared a little bit of my story and how my neighbor, who she has MS and she's lived with it for like 26 years, you know, and there was a time when I was going through my brain tumor experience, you know, which some people know about, some don't, but again, it's that whole thing when you're recovering from something major like that, people kind of want you to write yourself out of the equation.
Yeah.
It's like, I lost my driving license for a good year, you know, I couldn't drive and stuff, and I couldn't walk for a while, but it was like, yeah, so just sign on, get some benefits, sign on, and just be happy that you're alive kind of thing,
right.
You know. Yeah, that was kind of like the attitude. And then also with my neighbor with the MS, she hasn't been able to work, you know, throughout her entire career for that reason, you know, so no one wants to employ her, and so she, after a while, she just kind of gave up and just like does other things. So yeah, so hearing your story is like, yeah, go on.
I bet it sounds like she's super supportive and empathetic, right, to help you.
Yeah, she is lovely. She is so lovely. So as I said, like, yeah, she could barely walk herself, you know.
Yeah. The world needs so much more empathy. If there's one thing that we need more of in our workforce, it's empathy, it's support, it's perspective, and it's gratitude. And that's our differently abled community, people who go through hell and back on a daily basis, you know. We have so much to learn from these folks. So it makes me so angry that people like your neighbor don't feel like they have a fit. It's so sad. But we're changing that. I do have hope.
I love that. I love that. We're gonna get to the hopeful bit. Sonia says that I can somehow relate. Last year I was diagnosed with migraines and asthma. A few weeks ago I was diagnosed with arthritis in the neck and back. my blood test requires my testing. I have to use a cane now, force myself to move. It's limiting on job selection. So yeah, it is that is the thing, isn't it? And I love how you call it differently abled, you know, and I want to come to how you got to this place of where you're naming it, and you're really like kind of, as you said, you're angry, and now you're advocating. You're not sitting back and just taking it. You're giving the punches back at life, you know. So how did that happen for you?
I've always been an open book, too open. I feel like I've always been the oversharer in my friends group. And I really took to social media. I mean, LinkedIn was the safe space. It was the place where I could share without feeling like I'd be bullied or attacked for having an opinion or an experience along these lines, because everybody's representing their employer. So they have to behave, unlike on Facebook or Instagram. So I started really sharing my frustration for the application process and conscious and unconscious bias around people living with chronic illness and disabilities. And people started to privately message me and say, thank you for sharing. I have, Crohn's disease, or I have epilepsy, or I have this and that. And they feel like if they open up about it, people will judge them, they'll lose their job. And nobody should feel that way. And that's the epitome of the problem here. So here I can encourage folks to open up and embrace their stories and embrace that pain and those battles that they go through every day to just get through the day, to just live. I mean, that's so inspiring. Everybody has a story. Everybody does. And people that have disabilities or chronic illness, they have so much they can teach the world. It's magnificent. But we're so afraid to give those gifts and open up because of that fear of being judged, that fear of losing things, because we've already lost so darn much, So that's where the advocacy set in. And just if they're not going to speak up for themselves, I'm going to speak up for them. And it might not be pretty, but it's something people need to hear. And because it can happen to anybody. Anybody can be diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, or, God forbid it happen, but it happens. And we can prevent this by being more aware, more health conscious, and so many other things. So yeah, that's something I'm so passionate about, as you can tell.
I love it. I love it all. I love it. So then you and I read that. So in the year of you starting sharing all of this, and you suddenly went from a few followers to like 30,000, and you hit the LinkedIn limit in like under a year. Now you're at like 87,000 followers or something like that. So the message and the brand is growing quickly. At what point did you decide this is a business?
So it was actually when I was trying to pay off my medical debt. I had over $200,000 that I owed our hospital system. And I had no idea how the hell I was going to do that. And also, help my son, give him daycare, and then hopefully provide a college fund for him. So I was like, I need to hustle hard, baby. And I had to figure this out, that I would create this service in exchange for donations or contributions to my healthcare. So I started doing that on LinkedIn, and the amount of people stepping up to the plate that were like, I need help with my marketing program. I need a website. I need somebody to analyze my Google Analytics or my search engine optimization scores. I was like, sure, let me do that. This is what I would charge normally, but it's up to you to decide what you want to pay me. And normally people were so generous that they would double or triple that. And wow. I had two really large clients that brought me in to train them on how to do social media training and public relations strategies to build a strong reputation. And within 2 years, I had all that debt paid off. The whole thing. It was
That
insane. All of
deserves a
those
round of
expenses.
applause.
Yes. I tried and I won.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Love it. So, wow. So at that point though, was there a business? So or were you still doing donations?
Yes. So it evolved, right? It went from donations into Stardust Creative when then I could funnel it forward and it was a business. So, that was a little bit about how it got started. And I mean, I haven't had mega clients like that since, because I think they were really philanthropic and they wanted to support something that meant something. So that's what helped. But it helped me find fulfillment in my career for sure. And I felt like entrepreneurship was really the only option for me because finding a job was so darn impossible.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh. So how did you, and so that was 3 years ago when you officially launched Stardust Creative, right? Was it 3 years
Yes.
ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So how did you, because now you have a team, right? If I understand correctly, it's
Yes.
evolved beyond just you, and it's like a
Right.
business officially, right? Wow, which is amazing. So what was the journey then? How did you grow it to the place that it is today?
So what I did was I would take on these clients and I would never say no. When somebody asked me to do something for them, I'd be like, yes, I can do that. And then I'd have to figure out who I could work with to make that happen. And I just started, because of my community on LinkedIn again, and having so many amazing calls and coffee chats and discovery calls with strangers that became connections, that became coworkers and colleagues. It just continued to go. Or if I needed someone and I didn't have someone, I'd go to my community and ask them, hey, do you know somebody? And I would always get references. So that's how things started to grow. And they just grow with demand. If I have more clients that require video editing or content creation or, Facebook ads. I'm gonna find my Facebook ads guy, and we're gonna work with him. I'm not touching that.
Oh yeah.
So.
Wow, that is awesome. And yes, as Liz says, so inspiring, you know. So okay, so you've got
Oh,
this
thank you.
now on a practical level. How were you doing your business? Because you said one eye, you're still struggling with sight, and sometimes I'm guessing you might not feel well enough, to actually
Yes.
do things. How were you managing that side of things?
So that was ultimately the biggest fear in the beginning, right? Is how am I going to commit to serving others if my health just disintegrates and I have to be in the hospital for weeks? And the fatigue in MS is hard. So basically what MS is, like, if you think of a cookie, like a shortbread cookie is a healthy brain, right? A chocolate chip cookie is a brain with MS, and those chocolate chips are brain damage. So when you try to send a signal from one side of your brain to the other side, and it has to hit a bunch of chocolate chips in the center to get there, it makes you really fatigued. So that's where the fatigue comes in a lot. And there are days when I can't even get out of bed. There are days when I feel great, So being able to master energy management is something I think everybody should manage, especially mothers, because of how exhausting parenting is. But energy management with chronic illness has been, the most important piece of the puzzle, because if I can't deliver, if I don't fill my cup first and do the self-care stuff like meditation and retreats and even getting a massage without feeling guilty about it, right? That fills the cup, right? That's how I serve my clients, is I gotta get the back massage.
Of course. I'm down with that.
Yes, the bubble bath. It's a healthcare expense. But
I love
that's
it.
exactly how. Yes, self-care, self-love, and figuring out, when to listen to your body. If your body's saying, hey, I need to rest, I need to slow down, and I am tired, I need a nap, you take a nap. You don't push through, because worse things can happen.
Of course. No, definitely. Solid advice right there. Really, really solid, you know. So I love that. So while you're growing your business, and LinkedIn played such a huge part for you to start the business and continue the business. And now you're at 87,000 followers plus, as we said. So how did you grow your following on LinkedIn? Is it by continuing the same strategy of really speaking out and doing the things that you're doing and just attracting people that way? What did you have a strategy in place and a plan?
The more I created, the more traffic I was receiving. However, when you're active on it and you're an introvert too, if you're introverted and you're trying to be social, it's extremely exhausting and
Are you
burnout
an
happens.
introvert?
I
Are you an
am,
introvert?
yes.
Ah, hey, high
I
five.
am. Are you?
Yeah,
You
100%.
are?
Yeah,
See, I would never imagine. But
likewise.
it's nice to just chill in a empty room, just and relax, right? That's how we recover.
Yeah.
But I took a lot of one-on-one calls. I mean, I was doing 2 discovery calls a day with new connections. So on my lunch break and on my commute home, I would usually have a call with a new connection. So that's 10 new connections
Wow.
each week. So that adds
Wow.
up. Yeah. So that's how I grew my community to begin with. And then it's really flattened out over the past, year, because I think there's a lot more content creators out there that are growing their communities and doing it in a strategic manner. But if you're not putting out the content, nobody's going to see it. So I think that was the biggest part of it, was being present and creating all kinds of formats, videos, even though it's uncomfortable getting on video. Just do it, writing articles, even though they take forever and it feels like nobody sees them. Just do it.
Mhm. Yeah, because you've got videos, you've got articles, you do posts, you do all of it on your feed. I've been checking you out. I've been checking you out. So
Thank
I love
you.
it. So you're very visible. That's the word that I use to describe it. You're very visible. We can see you. We can see what you're doing on LinkedIn. So is that intentional for you? As in, because you just described the importance of posting content and putting things out there. Are you intentionally visible because you understand the importance of being visible to build your brand, or is it something that just happens for you?
No, it definitely takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen. But yes, I feel like with whatever you do, be intentional about it, right? Put that intention in and do the work. And that's when those opportunities happen. But nothing's going to happen unless you aren't set on a goal, right? To generate X amount of leads, or, 500 new followers or something along those lines. That intention is so important to drive results.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. So, on a practical level, with how you use LinkedIn, what's your strategy? Do you post every day, engage every day? I know you said you don't do the discovery calls as much anymore, but what do you do? What are your tips in that area?
Yes, well, I mean, definitely log in every day if you can. I think it's, again, comes back to energy management and filling your own cup and making sure you're not getting burnt out or stretched too thin. But, when you engage with these people, you never know how they're going to change your life. These strangers can become either your biggest clients or your biggest advocates. And with communities, we do change the world. I mean, that's how change is made. So I'm staying optimistic and maybe a little naive about it. But it really is about putting in that work and being present so that you can connect with others and learn from one another and grow forward. Because let's be honest, we have so much of our life left to live. Why not live it while learning, right? And helping each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Oh, that's nice. Eugenie says, such an amazing lady
Oh,
you are. Thank you for sharing your story. Definitely, definitely,
thank you.
definitely. And Lillian says, great tip on the connecting one-to-one. That is a really good tip, actually. That is what your strategy of, doing the 2 calls a day kind of thing. That is exhausting to think about for me. Yes, I think too much, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do,
You got
it. So that is so good. So I know you're visible on LinkedIn, and you're also visible on other platforms as well. You're everywhere. You have a presence. So how do you manage all of those social? Do you prioritize LinkedIn above the rest, or what are your thoughts? What's your strategy around that?
Yes, I highly preach for the organization of prioritization, and LinkedIn is definitely my number one, and the rest fall behind. Facebook, it's pretty coasting. If there's anything cool to celebrate or we're sharing, sure. And then Instagram is just a photo thing, and I can't keep up with it all. I'm a mom, I had a business owner. You can't do it all. I mean, I'm trying, but yeah, priorities for sure. LinkedIn.
Of course. I love it. So and I love that LinkedIn number one, same as you. I have a presence everywhere else, but LinkedIn is the place. How much of your business would you say you generate from LinkedIn directly?
I'd say like 90%. Yeah. The rest are probably, I mean, it could be 100 really, because the rest are really word of mouth or referrals or from my network, which again is still LinkedIn, right? Because they see my content there. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I want you to, how long did it take you before you started generating revenue through LinkedIn? Because sometimes people have unrealistic expectations of how long this process actually is. So, what was it like for you?
Oh, it is a really long process. And I think it was until I learned how to sell my services on LinkedIn that I started to generate that side of business. So maybe a year and a half. It did not happen overnight, and it did take a lot of consistency and community growth. But then that's when, the opportunities came in.
Okay, I love that. So building
Yeah, it
community.
takes a while.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And then it's like digging a well, isn't it? Once you dig it well and you dig it, then you've got water pretty much for life. But it takes a while to dig that well in the first place,
So true. Yeah. Great analogy. That's a perfect way to say it.
The LinkedIn well. Let's dig.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. Well, I know we're closing now, and I just want to come back to your mission, because you have a great mission, and again. So tell us your mission. So you want to have, what's the word that you say? Differently abled. You want to really advocate for differently abled individuals in the workplace. What's your big mission? Your big legacy that you want to leave behind in this area and beyond?
I want the world to see people with disabilities or chronic health issues as the superheroes that they are, as the strength that they bring to society. And the fact that, our norm is to lock them up and throw away the key because we are too lazy as a society to provide accessibility. I want that to change. So I want everybody to think we're all differently abled. You don't have to have a disability or chronic illness to be differently abled. You can use, you're differently abled could be a lack of confidence that prevents you from doing things, or it can be, just anxiety that prevents you from creating relationships and reaching out to strangers. So there's so many things that we can all reflect on ourselves and become more intentional about it, and understanding that, sure, this person may have cut us off on the road while driving and just went right in front of us, but they might be dealing with something, or they might have, which I hope they don't have, limited vision while driving, but they could, and then maybe they didn't see you there, all of these different things to bring more insight and perspective so that we can grow together.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So there's so much work to be done in this area. So you've got your work cut out for the rest of your life, I guess, you know.
Thanks.
I absolutely
Yes,
love
I'm
it,
I'm committed.
but I think you're frozen on me again. I hope you're not frozen for the
Oh
last minute. Are you still there, Chantel?
no. I'm here. Can you see me?
Oh, there we go. There we go. I can see you. I can see you. We are back. We are back. But honestly, it's been so inspiring talking to you I guess on a candid level. Last note, doing this interview, we've been at this for an hour. How has it been for you physically to sit here and talk to me on this for an hour? Has it been okay? Or is it at times that, in terms of with the MS?
Yes, for this today is a great. I'm actually pregnant, so I'm
I think I've lost
20
you
weeks.
again.
Oh no. I'm 20 weeks pregnant if it's coming through, which means I
Oh, there
feel
you are.
great. I feel so good. Like my body is just kicking in and it's really doing the work it needs to do. So fingers crossed that it continues to be good. But yeah, it's we'll see. Today's a great day. Every day is different.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Do you know what you're
Thank
having?
you. Not until next week. We'll know then.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. We have an
Thank
exclusive here,
you.
guys. We have an exclusive. I love it. Hi. But that is
Oh,
so lovely. Honestly, Chantel, it's been so great having this conversation with you. I'm sure I can speak on behalf of everybody else, but reading through the comments is like we are all fully behind you, love your cause, supporting what you do. How can we support what you're doing? What's the best way to connect with you, reach you, interact with you from here on?
you are amazing. So, first of all, thank you so much for being open about your experience as well and all of the superpowers that you offer the world because it's a gift and you are giving them out. So, thank you for everything that you do and for having me on and for LinkedIn, like come to
Thanks, LinkedIn.
my LinkedIn.
I love
You
it. I
got
love
it.
it. Yeah, so we can connect with you, ladies, gents, everybody tuning in. So connect with Chantel on LinkedIn. She is more than happy to accept your connection. Actually, she can't because
I
you've hit the
can. I'll
limit.
make room. I'll
Oh,
make room.
okay.
You just need to say, "Hey, I saw you. I'm a friend of Mildred's. Let's connect." And I'll kick somebody out to bring you in.
I love that. I love that. Good. She will kick out one of her 30,000 people who are squatting on her space just to let you in. So make sure you reach out to her. Chantel, I love what you're doing, and I'm sure we'll continue to stay in touch. And any way we can support what you're doing, I'm definitely down for. So thank you
Oh,
so
thank you
much
so
for your
much.
time this evening. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So I'm gonna let you go and then I'm gonna sign off and then yeah, we will catch up later. But have a good I think it's afternoon where you are. Have a good
Yes.
afternoon. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks,
Stay
Chantel.
healthy. All
All
right.
right, thank you. You too. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, whoosh, guys. Oh my God. Was that an amazing conversation? Oh, wow. This is like, Chris, thank you. Thank you for that. Wonderful, incredible session. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Sonia, thank you so much. That is wonderful. I am so inspired by Chantel. I am honestly so inspired. If you've been inspired by this conversation, I want you to drop in the comments what your biggest takeaway were whichever, right? Just drop them in the comments because tomorrow, which is Friday, I'm gonna do like a summary post and pull in some of the takeaways from it. But this has been so inspiring, and it just goes to show you just never know what anybody's going through. when you see them online. You can see somebody online, you think this person's got it all together, everything's great for them. Oh, look, they've got 87,000 followers. Oh, this is happening. You just don't know the struggles we're having, which is why it's so important that we have these conversations, that we talk to women like Chantel who are doing amazing things in their work life while they are struggling and managing things in their personal life that can hold people back. So I have absolutely loved that conversation. I'm inspired by Chantel, and I know you guys were too. So I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. It's so wonderful to have you here to be part of the Start Being Visible community, the part of the Visible Woman community. And we're going to be back here next Thursday. Our next episode is next Thursday, 20th of May, 6 p.m., same time, 6 p.m. BST. We have another awesome guest that we are going to talk to next week. But so I want you to be here. I want you to grab your cup of tea or your water or your glass of wine, whatever it is that you grabbed for this session. I want you to bring it back with you next Thursday for episode 3 of Visible Women on LinkedIn. So thank you so much. Drop your takeaways in the comments and I will go through them and I'll look through them and I'll get Chantel as well to look through them at some point. And also reach out to her. Reach out to her. If a story inspired you, tell her, because I think it'll be so nice for her to hear it. And so, yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to love you and leave you until next Thursday. Remember, you can register at mildredtalabi.com/visible women if you want to keep up with future episodes and also get on the Start Being Visible newsletter. Go to mildredtalabi.com. Last thing, I had a last thing, which has now gone from my head. So you're not going to get the last thing because it's gone from my head. If it comes back, I will tell you. But for now, good night and thank you for joining in tonight. And I will see you back here next Thursday for episode 3 of Visible Women on LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this, tell a friend to tell a friend, and all of you come together. Let's keep hearing these stories. Let's keep inspiring each other, and let's keep being visible on LinkedIn. I feel like I should say like a newsreader farewell. Farewell and good night. Until next Thursday. Take care. See you later. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching on replay, put #replay on here so we know that you're on replay. But I'm glad to have you watching on replay as well. So I will see you next Thursday right here, 6 p.m. BST on LinkedIn. Take care and good night.